Hello, my name is the Fiction Teller, and today I will be reading you a fan fiction. The fiction is called A Wait to Remember. It is a Panty and Stocking fan fiction. It will have Yuri in it, so viewer discretion advised. Yes, I do read that kind of stuff. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe, and if you have any fan fictions you would like to send me, please send me them, and I would like to read them for you. I will begin to start reading now. It was a calm day in Dalton City. No ghosts were to be heard from. Of course, for the two archangels, Panty and Stocking, this meant they would do what they did best. Panty would go out and find a guy to have sex with, and Stocking would go through catalog after catalog of sweets, finding new treats she had yet to indulge in. But for Panty, it was an off day. She couldn't find one man, and she was pissed off. Normally, she would have weighed quite a few men by now, but she just wasn't really feeling up to exerting herself to really catch them. If they hit on her, fine, but she was not throwing herself in front of them. She just wasn't in the mood. Stocking, on the other hand, had ordered over 10 treats, well prepared for the fine sweets to arrive. She had relocated herself from her bedroom to the living room. As she waited patiently for her elegant desserts to arrive and her boredom through, though, she turned on the television and settled on a cheap zombie movie on cable. "Stocking! Will you turn that shit down? I'm not feeling good," Penny called from her room that happened to be right over the living room. "You never turn anything down when I ask, so no," Stocking said, pulling her legs up under herself to get comfortable. "Fucking bitch." Stocking heard Penny yell at the top of her lungs. She heard stomping, and knew that Penny was coming to turn it down herself. Stocking didn't even budge as Penny came and stood in front of the TV, just to get on her nerves. "Stocking, why don't you ever just listen and obey? I don't feel good and I just want to sleep. That TV is doing nothing but rotting your brain. Why do you have to have it loud? So it can just rot faster?" Penny said, in a lecturing tone. Stocking grinned a little because Penny gave her an arguing standpoint. Well, sex is only good in moderation, and you being a whore is doing nothing but wasting your life away. Well, those fucking sweets are just rotting your teeth and probably killing your insides. No wonder why no one wants to fuck you. You probably killed your sex drive with all those damn sweets," Penny says as a comeback. "I don't need sex all the time like you do, and chocolate actually makes you hornier," Stocking said, flipping her long purple hair over her shoulder. Penny sat there for a moment, thinking for a comeback. When she couldn't, she flipped Stocking off. "Excuse me, I'm not reading it that loud because it is night and I just decided to record this since I got new software." "Ha, I gotcha," Stocking smiled before picking up the plate on the table next to the couch she was sitting on. She took a big bite of the chocolate cake she had. "If chocolate makes you horny, how come you never have sex?" Penny said, sounding more like she was asking herself rather than Stocking. Stocking heard what Penny said, nonetheless, and put the plate back down. "Because I refuse to sell my sexy body away like you do. I'm waiting for a nice guy." Penny laughed. "A nice guy? Your last boyfriend was a disgusting ghost," she said through laughter. At this point, she gave up on Stocking, turning down the TV, and sat next to Stocking on the couch. "He was a great guy if you actually took the time to get to know him," Stocking said defensively. "And he never pressured me for sex. But sex is the best part." I lost my place. But sex is the best part," Penny said, looking at Stocking like she was crazy. "No, you really have no clue," Stocking said, half lost in her thoughts. "Sex is always the best part of the relationship. To see someone in such a vulnerable state, there cannot be a relationship without that. That's true trust," Penny said, her eyes slightly glossed over. "Sex is only half of it," Stocking said, still sticking to her beliefs. No, it's not, Penny said. She didn't even allow Stocking a chance to state again that wasn't it. She leaned forward and pressed her lips on her sister's, catching Stocking off guard. Okay. I can already tell that this is going to get a little incesty. Well, a lot incesty. So, just putting a warning here now, because here comes the parts. When Penny pulled away, Stocking looked at her hard and asked, "What the fuck was that?" She said, more surprised than mad. "I want to prove my point," Penny said. "Sex makes any relationship better." Stocking's brows came together, but before she could protest, Penny was on her again. Penny kissed Stocking on the lips again, before moving down a little. Having to move Stocking's long hair, she kissed her neck. Being rather delicate, she knew that Stocking liked sex to be rough. She also knew that Stocking liked public indecency and bondage. Right now, she was just teasing her. Stocking couldn't help herself to feel at least a little turned on. She loved being dominated, and the fact that Penny was not allowing her to deny was really making her feel hot. Oh my gosh, okay. She was also extremely turned on by the thought that they were in the living room where anyone could walk in and see the two girls. After a few small kisses and a little sucking, Penny pushed Stocking's shoulders down. Stocking obediently laid down on the couch, letting Penny get on top of her. Here we go. Okay. Penny put her knees on either side of Stocking's hips and kissed down her neck. She didn't ask for permission or even hesitate as she slid her hand on top of Stocking's furry pajama gown. She ran her hand slightly over Stocking. Oh my goodness. Ugh, I lost my place. She ran her hand lightly over Stocking's breast. Stocking let out a small whimper, trying to get her voice in. She hated moaning, but she really couldn't help it sometimes. Even though Penny was doing everything wrong, somehow she still was doing everything right to get her hot. Okay. Penny had an evil grin on her face. She pushed the soft cloth of Stocking's gown up, taking the whole piece off. Stocking was without a bra, but was wearing her panties. "You know, for all that smitty, you have a really sexy body," Penny said, as she actually looked at her sister in nothing but her panties and stockings. No, Stocking said, shaking her head a little. "Did I say you could talk?" Penny said, giving Stocking an evil glare. She watched as Stocking have a small shock from the sudden change in attitude that she had had. Stocking shook her hair a little. She could feel herself getting wet from the way Penny had started talking to her. Oh God. Penny grinned and leaned down. She put one of her hands on Stocking's right breast and put her mouth on her other breast. She licked it all around before taking the nipple into her mouth. She sucked a little before biting on it. She decided that she would give Stocking what she longed for, since she was sure that no man had ever given her the rough sex that she truly craved. Stocking couldn't hold her voice in when Penny bit her nipple. She hadn't been expecting that when Penny had been so gentle before that. Not too much after Penny started assaulting her breasts. She felt Penny's other hand holding her wrist down, so she couldn't do anything. Penny kept biting on Stocking's breast. As she moved the hand that wasn't holding her up Stocking down, she roughly ran her nails down Stocking's sides and then back up again. She did this a few more times, making sure to make marks before looking back up at her sister's face. Stocking wasn't even watching Penny anymore. When Stocking had started scratching her sides, Stocking nearly climaxed. She didn't understand why Penny knew exactly every button to press. Normally when Penny had sex, she would just have sex and leave. She never did foreplay like she was doing to Stocking. Penny felt satisfaction when she saw that Stocking was chewing on her bottom lip and her eyes were closed. She looked like she was enjoying herself. Penny moved down, biting and licking every few centimeters. She tried her best to leave marks everywhere she bit down. Penny felt a little awkward because she had never done something like this to someone, but she knew that Stocking was enjoying it. She gained confidence from this fact. Stocking got to the point where she was begging. Every part of her body was screaming. She felt so hot. "Penny, please, I can't stand it anymore," she said, trying to speak normally, but her voice came out sexy and turned on. Oh my god. Penny looked up at Stocking and snapped. "I didn't tell you to talk," she said, trying to sound as bitchy as possible. She moved her hand like she was holding Stocking's wrist and reached for the pajamas she had taken off of Stocking not too long ago. She twisted the cloth into a tight spiral. "I can't have you just talking freely like that," Penny said, moving back up to Stocking's face. Stocking watched Penny, feeling her stomach twist in excitement. She was pretty sure what Penny was going to do. Penny shook her head. Excuse the laptop. Penny shook her head and put the twisted gown around Stocking's face, gagging her. She tied it tightly to make sure it was secure. Stocking coughed a little bit at the sudden gag, but that didn't change her feeling so horny. Penny was just teasing her. She couldn't think of anything else. She just wanted to be touched and bitten. Okay. Penny smiled and then started back to what she was doing. She leaned down to Stocking's belly button, moving her own legs down a little more. She nibbled and nibbled at the loose flesh above Stocking's belly button. She bit down a few times and sucked on that flesh, leaving a few red spots and a hickey. Stocking was not trying to hold in her moans anymore, seeing as though they would be muffled by the gag. She squirmed around as Penny licked, sucked, and bit the flesh by her belly button. She really wanted Penny to stop teasing her. Penny finally moved down to Stocking's panties and put one hand on each of Stocking's hips. She tugged on the cute purple pair of panties and made sure to scrape Stocking's thighs as she pulled them down. She made sure to tease Stocking now, laying a soft kiss on Stocking's core. She could already taste her sister's juices. When Stocking felt Penny's lips on her, she buckled forward, just that little bit made her want to moan. Penny grinned and carefully kissed her core again. This time she pushed her tongue in a little and ran it up and down. She could hear Stocking's moan quite clearly, even though she was gagged. She dug her nails into Stocking's legs as she licked up all that Stocking had released so far. She didn't even touch her clit or vagina yet, and yet Stocking was squirming. She seemed like she would be screaming if she weren't gagged. Stocking was really on her last limb. She knew that as soon as Penny stopped teasing, she would climax, probably more than once. She was so hot and ready to hit that high. She really wished Penny would stop torturing her. Penny watched Stocking as she continued to lap up her juices. Stocking was looking down at her sister, her eyes teary from how she was so turned on. Penny felt her own body stir at the sight. Stocking really was a beautiful girl, despite all the treats she ate for all the time. After watching the Stocking's eyes big for a moment, she finally put 2 fingers inside Stocking. She felt Stocking start shaking almost immediately. Penny could tell that Stocking had been waiting for her, but how lubricated her vagina was. Stocking had moved her arms up to hold onto the arms of the couch behind her, so she would have something to grip because she was in such ecstasy. Penny continued to move her fingers in and out of her sister as she looked around. She finally moved up to Stocking's clit and barely flicked her tongue over it. She had heard Stocking let out a scream. Even with the gag, she was being really loud. How could someone get that turned on? That's just strange to me. Okay. Penny flicked her tongue over Stocking's clit again and felt her vagina tighten around her fingers, and she looked up to see Stocking grip the arm of the couch tightly, her eyes screwed shut. Penny looked over the bulb again 2 or 3 more times. Bulb? again 2 or 3 more times before nipping it with her teeth. She felt Stocking shake and tighten up again. This time was much more violent than the last. She was moaning loudly and almost cried out in ecstasy. She felt Stocking's juices pour out on her hand. She proceeded to lick them up. Before removing her hand from her sister, she moved up and untied the gad from Stocking's mouth. Stocking was huffing, and her face was red. I don't want to do this. Panty, that was amazing, she said, watching her sister's face. She was sure she looked like a mess. Her mascara was probably running down her face. She knew she was very sweaty. Panty grinned. I knew you would be. She got off of Stocking and straightened her skirt. Stocking said, pulling her panties back up. I thought you only had sex with guys, she said, still I thought you only had sex with guys, she said, still slightly out of breath. I do, Panty stated plainly. You were the first girl, but I did it just to prove my point, she said, crossing her arms. Stocking was quiet for a moment before looking away. I don't know if it really made our relationship better, but I know it changed, Stocking said, untwisting her pajama gown. She stood up, deciding that she wasn't going to put it back on. Well, we aren't fighting, that's a first, Panty said, grinning. True, and you are good. Never let anyone tell you differently. I've never climaxed more than once in less than 5 minutes. You are amazing, Stocking said before turning away. Now if you will excuse me, I need to go change before my orders get here. Okay, I guess I'll go take that nap now, Panty said, following her sisters to the stairs. And that was the end of that. I truly hope you enjoyed that. I know I didn't, but it's for everyone's pleasure. However you go. I know my voices aren't the best. This is my first time reading a Panty and Stocking fanfic. I hardly read over this. I will get better at doing these, hopefully. That was just a one-time thing. Short, sweet, to the point. Very to the point. I hope you, as I say again, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want more of this. I hope you don't want more of this. If you do, I will do it for you, cause yes, I know there aren't a lot of girl fiction, well, fan fiction readers out there, but hopefully we will change that, and hopefully we will have more suggestions for more recordings. I hope that I will be able to get better at reading voices, other things like that, and I hope that you come again. Anyway, that was A Wait to Remember, a Panty and Stocking fanfiction by Fat Patrice, if I am pronouncing that correctly, on fanfiction.net. Send me more if you wish. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, reader or listener. I'm gonna have to work on an outro. For this time, I am the fiction reader, and I bid you a good night.